In this lesson, we'll focus on one of the most critical parts of the GED math test, solving word problems and applying math to real-life situations. This section helps you take math out of the classroom and use it in everyday decisions, such as budgeting, time management, or comparing prices. These types of questions appear frequently on the GED exam and test your ability to translate words into math. Let's start this section with one of the most important skills on the GED, understanding and translating word problems into math. To begin, read the whole problem carefully without trying to solve it yet. This allows you to get the full picture before doing any calculations. Then, underline key facts and circle what the question is asking. These clues help you focus on what's important and what you're solving for. Next, identify math operations based on keywords. Certain words will tell you if you need to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Once that's clear, translate the words into a math equation. This is how you turn a real-life problem into numbers you can work with. Finally, solve and check your answer to make sure it makes sense in the context of the problem. Now, let's go over some common keywords and what they mean, which is critical for knowing what operation to use. Total, altogether, sum, or combined. These mean addition. Difference, how many more or fewer. These mean subtraction. Each, times, product, or double triple. These indicate multiplication. Per, out of, quotient, or divided by. These refer to division. Here's a quick example to bring it all together. Maria bought 3 notebooks for $2.50 each and a pen for $1.75. How much did she spend altogether? Let's break that down. Notebooks equals 3 times $2.50 equals $7.50. Total equals $7.50 plus $1.75 equals $9.25. So, Maria spent $9.25 in total. This strategy, read, underline, identify, translate, and solve, will help you tackle word problems confidently and accurately on test day. Next, let's look at multi-step word problems, the kind that require more than one operation to solve. Sometimes, word problems aren't just one step. You may need to combine different math operations to get the final answer. Let's look at an example. A plumber charges $50 for a service call, plus $30 per hour. If a job took 3 hours, what was the total cost? Start by identifying and breaking down the parts. Service call equals $50. Hourly equals 3 times $30 equals $90. So the total $50 plus $90 equals $140. Always solve in the correct order. Use parentheses when needed and double-check unit labels. Now let's move into ratio, proportion, and rate problems, all of which are very common on the GED math test. These types of problems test your understanding of relationships between numbers, whether it's comparing quantities, scaling up, or figuring out speed. Let's begin with a proportion example. If 3 shirts cost $45, how much do 5 shirts cost? We'll set up a proportion. 3 shirts is to $45 as 5 shirts is to X dollars. Now let's cross-multiply. 3 times X equals 5 times 45, which gives us 3X equals 225. Then, solve by dividing both sides by 3. X equals 75. So the final answer is $75. Now here's a rates example. A car travels 180 miles in 3 hours. What is the speed? Use the formula speed equals distance divided by time equals 180 divided by 3 equals 60 miles per hour. Remember, ratios and rates show up in everyday scenarios from shopping to driving, and they're essential for GED success. Let's move on to another real-life math skill you'll definitely see on the GED, working with percentages, especially tips, taxes, and discounts. You'll often see percent-based word problems. Example, tip or tax. A meal costs $48. You want to leave a 15% tip. How much tip should you leave? Tip equals 15% of $48, which is 0.15 times 48, and that equals $7.20. Now let's look at a discount example. A jacket originally costs $80 and is on sale for 25% off. What's the sale price? Start by finding the discount. 0.25 times 80 equals $20. Then subtract the discount from the original price. 80 minus 20 gives a sale price of $60. Next, let's talk about a common topic in GED word problems: real-life money situations, like paychecks, monthly expenses, or budgeting. Here's the first example. Weekly pay. You earn $12.50 per hour and work 35 hours per week. What's your total weekly pay? Multiply $12.50 by 35 hours. That gives you $437.50. Let's look at a monthly budget problem next. Example: you earn $2,000 per month. Your expenses are rent, $700, food, $300, transportation, $150. First, add up the expenses. 700 plus 300 plus 150 equals $1,150. Now subtract that from your income. 2,000 minus 1,150 equals $850 left over. These real-life money problems are very common on the GED, so practice them well. Now let's talk about time-based word problems. These often involve calculating travel time, figuring out schedules, or using the calendar. Example: travel time. A train leaves at 9:15 a.m. and arrives at 1:45 p.m. How long was the trip? To solve, count from 9:15 to 1:45. That's a total of 4 hours and 30 minutes. Example: calendar problems. Let's say an assignment is due 3 weeks and 2 days from Monday. What day will it be due? First, convert 3 weeks into days. 3 weeks is 21 days. Now add the 2 extra days. 21 plus 2 equals 23 days from Monday. If you count forward 23 days from Monday, the due date will fall on a Wednesday, 3 weeks later. Make sure to take your time with these problems and count carefully, especially when working with both hours and minutes or weeks and days. Many real-life math questions involve measuring space, like the size of a room or the amount something can hold. These are called geometry word problems. Example: area. You want to tile a floor that's 8 feet long and 6 feet wide. Each tile costs $2 per square foot. What's the total cost? First, calculate the area. 8 times 6 equals 48 square feet. Now, multiply by the price. 48 times $2 equals $96 total. Example: volume. A box is 4 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 3 feet high. What is its volume? Multiply all 3 dimensions. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24 cubic feet. Quick reminder: area measures flat surfaces. Multiply length by width. Volume measures space inside a 3D object. Multiply length, width, and height. If they ask for perimeter, just add all the sides together. Always double-check the units. They're part of the answer. On the GED, you might see a bill, schedule, receipt, or table, and be asked to read and calculate based on the information provided. Example: grocery table. A table shows grocery prices. Apples cost $1.20 per pound. You buy 2.5 pounds. How much will it cost? Multiply. 1.20 times 2.5 equals $3. Always check for units, pounds, hours, dollars, etc., and use the info in the table to calculate. To wrap things up, let's quickly review what you've learned in this lesson. Word problems on the GED test require strong reading and translation skills. Look for keywords to determine the correct operations. Practice solving multi-step problems with money, time, rates, and area volume. Real-life math includes percent, discounts, wages, budgets, and schedules. You must translate real-world situations into math equations and solve carefully. Remember, word problems are less about tricks and more about clear thinking and applying the correct math tools. Practice solving a wide range of realistic scenarios to build confidence for the GED exam.